Knowing the difference between open enrollment and invitation versus invitation only. In today's session, we'll be covering both of those. To start, we'll start with the open enrollment and the invitation event. To get started with our event, make sure that the event setup's progress is all completed. Once completed, we can change the stage from planning to active. Once our event is active, we can click on the link, the Open Event homepage, to view the registration page for our particular event. We are now going to register for this event. I'll be using my own details for that. And click Submit. I have now successfully registered for an event. What I notice here is I can see the update details, cancel registration, as well as register someone else buttons. The update details and cancel registration buttons are going to be linked to after registration allow delegates to. If I were to changes to make no changes or update details, the corresponding event page would either remove or add those buttons. Register someone else is always going to be accessible for events that are open enrollment and invitation. If you set your event to invitation only, you will not see this setting. As a delegate, my details will be stored in the Event Spark instance or the Salesforce instance. As you can see, once that registration form is completed, all the relevant detail will then be captured against that delegate record. You'll be able to decide whether you want to match that data to existing contacts. You will also see the event actions. The event actions will tell you things like if a confirmation email was sent, or any email for that matter that was sent against your communication plan, and what emails are still pending. Again, the communication plans takes into consideration time and status. So it's going to tell you whether that event can be sent and when it will be sent based on the status. Going back to our event. Once we're on the event page, we will notice that we can refresh our components and we will see particular data around that component itself. If I want to view the email that's sent to those clients, I can simply see that detail here. Dear Kyle, thank you for registering. Here's all the details around our venue. This is when it's going to happen, the agenda, as well as the relevant information around the speaker. Now, because open enrollment and invitation is selected under the registration method, we can also invite delegates to these events. That can be done in a multitude of different ways, either on contact or leads, directly from the contact itself, by clicking the Add to Event button. This will bring up a list of all the events that are currently live in our system, as well as the stage you want to add that delegate from. You can also do this using a list view. So if I wanted to say all contacts or recently viewed contacts, I could say maybe I want to add Joe Soap. I could then say add to event. And again, I could choose the event that I want to add to. To reiterate invitation status, the purpose of this would be If I was an event manager and I wanted to allow my team to add delegates but not send them an automated invitation, they would need to select proposed. That way, as the event manager, I could view the detail around who my team are adding, and at my discretion, I can decide who gets invited, particularly to those events. If I'm happy for the team to add as approved, anyone that the team adds will automatically kick off an invitation. If I'm happy to go ahead, I'll click add. As you can see, adding the contact was a success. If the status indicator was red, it means that there's potentially a duplicate found or another error that the system has picked up. The system will also tell you the results here. 0 contacts were existing delegates. If they were, it would block those. 1 contact was not a delegate, and of which that 1 contact was added, they were added to the event. So what I can do now is I can actually click to go to my event. As we can see, we have 2 delegates, one being Kyle LeBron, who completed the registration through the registration form. He could have accessed that form through our website, through our up and coming events page, or via a link that one of our colleagues had shared with him. Joe Soap, however, has been invited to that particular event, but he's still just invited. He needs to accept that invitation before he will get the relevant notification. Now, it's important to note the key difference between open enrollment and invitation is if it's invitation only event, you will only be allowed to add leads or contacts and invite them directly from EventSpark itself. If the event is set to open enrollment and invitation, like currently, you are able to view the registration page publicly, either through up and coming events, through your website, or by sharing the link with your delegates. Those are the key differences between the two. Let's go and investigate if another email has been sent to Joe Soap. Dear Joe, I take great pleasure in inviting you to test. This process is slightly different as you see. This process requires the user to click RSVP yes or RSVP no. When clicking RSVP yes, if the OTP setting is set, the system will send an OTP message before any details are displayed to the end user. This is an extra precautionary step because when inviting a user, we display their details directly to them without the need for them to recapture their details. Whilst this is extremely useful, it does open up risks for data being displayed. Therefore, we keep the OTP on as standard. As Joe Soap, I'm very happy with my details and I will confirm those details. Because this is not only an invitation event but also open enrollment, as you can see, I can also register someone else. Going back to our event, if I go to my delegates and I refresh, now you'll see that Joe Soap has RSVP'd yes, a slightly different status to the registration completed. Registration completed would mean that Kyle went through the registration process but was not invited. Both of them have completed the process, but they came in through 2 different mechanisms. And we can see that by clicking details and scrolling down a little. On the status and tracking, we are able to track each step of the way that that user had to take. We can see that the overall status was RSVP yes completed. Their invitation was approved at this date and this time. They clicked yes for RSVP. There was no payment required, and they completed the registration form. All of that detail is displayed on the delegate guest user. Going back to our events, Looking at our delegates by status, if we had to refresh the chart, we can see that we have two delegates that will be coming to our event. One came through the RSVP mechanism and one came through the open registration mechanism. This gives us a great insight into exactly how they actually came across our invitation. If we are also interested to see what emails have been sent, we can refresh the communication tasks. The system has sent out 3 communications and 2 are still pending. Why is that, you might be asking yourself? Remember, we added comms rules and we also sent automatic emails to yes. Our event is live and we are now taking in open registrations as well as invitations.